Your person is experiencing a deep sense of insecurity in this connection at the present moment, largely because they feel a noticeable shift in the way you express your emotions. In the past, you were open, loving, expressive, and consistent in showing how much you cared. Your affection once created a sense of safety and reassurance for them. Now, however, you've pulled back either intentionally or simply because you've grown, healed, and learned to protect your own energy. From their perspective, this change feels unsettling. They're unsure whether your silence is distance or simply a new form of strength. Because of this, their mind is filled with questions, doubts, and a fear that perhaps you no longer feel the same. Despite their insecurity, they see you as incredibly powerful and intuitive. The way you navigated your past pain, especially the difficulties and emotional wounds connected to this relationship, left a strong impression on them. They recognize your resilience, your emotional maturity, and your ability to rise even when circumstances felt heavy. What's truly remarkable to them is how gracefully you carried yourself through it all. You didn't crumble. You didn't let the hurt define you. Instead, you learned, transformed, and stepped into a stronger version of yourself. This transformation is something they admire deeply, even if they don't openly express it. Deep within their soul, even beneath the layers of uncertainty, they still sense your love. They can feel that the emotional bond between you hasn't disappeared. They know, intuitively, that your heart still holds a place for them and that a part of you still desires this connection. But because you're not actively expressing these feelings anymore, they are waiting, almost anxiously, for a sign from you. Something small. Something gentle. A message, a call, or even just a subtle gesture that shows you haven't walked away emotionally. They want reassurance before revealing their own heart. They want to feel safe before making themselves vulnerable. So right now, they're hoping you'll reach out first, not because they want you to chase them, but because they're afraid of misreading the situation. Afraid of rejection. Afraid that maybe you've truly moved on. A call or text from you would calm their fears, even if you don't pour your feelings into it. Just hearing from you would be enough for them to gather the courage to step forward with honesty. However, it's important to understand that you are under no obligation to make the first move unless you genuinely feel guided to do so. You don't have to break your silence out of pity, fear, or pressure. Your boundaries, intuition, and emotional needs matter just as much as theirs. This time, the energy dynamic is shifting. You've spent enough time giving, reaching out, fixing, and trying to carry the connection on your shoulders. Now, you're sitting back, allowing things to unfold naturally, and letting them decide whether they truly want to take the lead. And they will. The difference now is that your person is preparing to step into the role they once avoided. In the past, they hesitated, held back their feelings, struggled to express themselves, or simply refused to put in the effort necessary to move the connection forward. Maybe fear controlled them. Maybe ego. Maybe a need for emotional control. But whatever held them back before is beginning to fade. Your silence, far from pushing them away, has actually encouraged them to confront their own emotions. It has made them realize that if they truly want you in their life, they can no longer rely on you to do all the work. Your stillness has become a powerful mirror for them. It shows them what happens when you stop chasing. It reveals what the connection looks like when the responsibility is placed entirely in their hands. And for the first time, they feel the weight of that responsibility. It scares them, but it also motivates them. They're starting to understand that they must step forward confidently if they don't want to lose the opportunity to rebuild this bond. This time, there will be no more running from your side. No more trying to force emotional breakthroughs. No more chasing after clarity or validation. You're allowing them to show you who they truly are when you stop carrying the emotional burden for both of you. And they are beginning to realize that if they don't take action soon, they risk missing their chance to reconnect with someone who genuinely cared for them, someone strong, intuitive, compassionate, and far more aware of their worth than before. They are preparing to take that step. They are waiting for a small sign, but eventually, even without it, their heart will push them forward. Because now, they know that this connection won't progress unless they take the lead. They know the next move is theirs to make. And for once, they're willing to make it. I know that because there has been almost no communication between us for a while, you may be feeling doubtful, confused, and unsure about where we stand or what our connection really means. I can understand why you might question my silence, and I don't blame you for any thoughts or emotions you may have had during this time. But what I want to tell you, genuinely, honestly, and without holding anything back, is to listen to your heart and the quiet desires of your soul, because they often speak truths that our minds ignore or overcomplicate. Even though I have been silent on the outside, I want you to know that this silence has not come from indifference or lack of care. It has come from a place of deep reflection, healing, and an attempt to understand myself in ways I never did before. I have been trying to use this time to look inward and untangle the emotional knots I have been carrying for years. I don't want to continue acting immature, egoistic, or defensive, because I now see how those patterns were only shields I used to hide from the things I didn't understand about myself. My heart still longs for you, genuinely and intensely, and no matter how much I try to distract myself or focus on other aspects of life, I keep coming back to the simple truth that something within me feels incomplete without you physically present. I've achieved many things in my life, things I once thought would give me total fulfillment, security, or a sense of arrival, yet even with all of that, there is a space inside me that remains unfilled, a quiet emptiness that makes itself known in moments when my mind is still. And that emptiness is shaped exactly like the connection we share. When we first met, I was a very unstable person emotionally, mentally, and even financially. My life felt chaotic, and I was constantly trying to hold things together in ways that looked strong on the surface but were fragile underneath. That's the real reason I kept running from you, not because you didn't matter, but because you mattered too much. I didn't want you to see how messy my world truly was. I didn't want you to witness the insecurities, the self-doubt, the unpredictable thoughts, or the fear I carried every day. I lacked confidence back then, and instead of facing that, I hid behind distance and avoidance. I was dealing with deep self-worth issues, questioning whether I was good enough for anything meaningful, and when you came into my life, every weakness, every buried insecurity, began resurfacing. At that time, I mistook that discomfort as something going wrong, but now I understand it happened because your presence was gently exposing the parts of me I had been ignoring for years. You triggered growth in me without even trying, and that frightened me, because growth demands honesty, vulnerability, and courage, qualities I didn't yet know how to embody. Looking back, I realized that your arrival in my life was not random or accidental. Before, I used to question everything. Why you? Why then? Why did you show up during one of the most chaotic seasons of my life? I couldn't make sense of it, and the confusion only made my fears stronger. But now that I've had time to reflect, everything feels clearer in a way it never did before. All the moments that felt confusing, painful, or overwhelming now look like pieces of a bigger picture I couldn't understand at the time. You came into my life exactly when I needed someone who would mirror the truth of who I was and who I could become. You awakened parts of me that were dormant, ignored, or suppressed. You made me question my patterns, my choices, my wounds, and even my potential. You challenged me in ways that were uncomfortable but necessary. And now, after spending time alone, after sitting with my emotions instead of running from them, after peeling back layers of myself I never dared examine, I feel like I finally understand the deeper purpose of everything that has happened. I'm not claiming to be perfect or fully healed, but I am more aware than I've ever been. I know the reasons I've been searching for, the clarity I once felt desperate for, and the meaning behind all the confusion. Most importantly, I know that running from you was never about you, it was always about me, my fears, my insecurities, and my unhealed wounds. And now that I can see that clearly, I no longer want to hide behind those excuses or old patterns. I don't want to lose something real because I was too afraid to face myself. I don't expect anything from you, and I don't want to pressure you. I just want you to know the truth of what has been happening inside me, because you deserve honesty. My heart still chooses you, even after everything. And for the first time, I feel ready to grow, ready to communicate, ready to be vulnerable, and ready to step into whatever this connection is meant to be, with openness instead of fear. Your partner is crying now, overwhelmed by emotions they can no longer push aside, and they are longing to finally talk to you in a genuine, vulnerable way. The weight of karma seems to be hitting them harder than they ever expected, and it's forcing them to confront truths they once tried to avoid. They are beginning to believe the things you shared with them about this relationship, things they may have dismissed or minimized before. Now those words echo in their mind with undeniable clarity. They're seeing the connection from a new perspective, realizing how deeply everything you said came from a place of honesty, intuition, and sincere care. In this moment of emotional awakening, they are beginning to recognize that their feelings for you run far deeper than even they allowed themselves to admit. In their heart, they know they want reconciliation. They are tired of running from their emotions, tired of pretending they didn't feel the things they clearly did. For so long, they clung to the past, whether it was old wounds, outdated fears, or unhealed insecurities. But now, that past feels heavy and pointless, something they no longer want to drag into the future. They are finally ready to release what has been holding them back, hoping that doing so will clear the path toward rebuilding something meaningful with you. They're realizing that the connection they share with you is rare, and losing it would mean losing a part of themselves they didn't even know mattered this much. Deep down, their biggest secret is that you have always been their dream person. You represent the kind of love they imagined but never believed they were worthy of. You embody the comfort, passion, stability, and emotional safety they longed for but didn't know how to approach. Yet instead of embracing that love, they held back. Their hesitation didn't come from lack of interest, it came from fear. They were afraid of becoming emotionally vulnerable, afraid of being seen for who they truly are beneath the surface. The thought of opening up so deeply terrified them, not because of you, but because they feared the possibility of losing you after revealing too much of themselves. Vulnerability felt like a risk they didn't know how to take. To them, you often appeared unbothered, strong, composed, and grounded in a way they couldn't quite understand. You seemed to navigate your emotions with grace, even when you were hurting. This made them feel inadequate at times, unsure of how to match your level of emotional maturity. They hated how sad and destroyed they felt from within, especially when they compared their inner turmoil to your outward calm. They tried to hide their pain behind silence, distance, or avoidance, even though all they truly wanted was closeness, reassurance, and a chance to feel understood. The more they suppressed their feelings, the more they wished things could be different, because deep inside, they were, and still are, extremely unhappy with their current life situation. Regret has taken root in their heart. They regret hurting you, regret not communicating clearly, regret pushing you away when all they wanted was to pull you closer. They replay moments in their mind, wishing they could react differently, wishing they could undo the choices that caused distance between you. There is a sense of guilt that weighs heavily on them, not because they think you expect perfection, but because they know you deserved honesty, effort, and consistency, things they struggled to give while battling their own emotional barriers. Now, they are determined to fix things. This isn't just a fleeting thought but a deep, persistent desire to take action, to show you with sincerity that they want to rebuild what was lost. They're thinking about the steps they need to take, whether it's reaching out, apologizing, being honest about their fears, or simply sitting down with you to have a real conversation. They're praying for a reunion with you, hoping the universe will guide them toward the right moment, the right words, and the right opportunity to make amends. They know it won't be easy and that trust isn't rebuilt overnight, but they're willing to try because losing you has shown them what truly matters. Sleepless and lonely nights have become a quiet routine for them. They lie awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking of you, your voice, your presence, the way you made them feel valued and seen. They miss the comfort you brought into their life, the emotional warmth you offered without hesitation. Their mind drifts to memories, to the little moments that meant more than they realized at the time. Every night without you feels longer, heavier, and more hollow than the one before. They are learning, in the hardest way, that distance doesn't erase feelings, it amplifies them. Now, as their emotions overflow, they are finally recognizing the truth: you were never the problem. Their fear, their hesitation, their unspoken wounds, those were the barriers. And now, with clarity settling in, they want to choose courage instead of fear, honesty instead of avoidance, and connection instead of distance. What they want most is the chance to step toward you with an open heart, hoping you might still be willing to listen, to understand, and perhaps to rebuild the love that never truly faded.